The Gordie Howe Bridge is finished, structurally complete, fully tested, 6,000 LED lights running sequences over the Detroit River every night. But nobody is allowed to use it. Canada paid $4.7 billion to build it and gave America half for free. Why? Is it Trump? Is it the billionaire family that's owned the crossing next door for 100 years? Or is it something else entirely keeping this bridge shut? On Monday evening, February 9, 2026, Donald Trump posted a 300-word tirade on Truth Social targeting the Gordie Howe International Bridge. He threatened to block the opening of the massive border crossing between Ontario and Michigan unless the US was fully compensated by Canada. He claimed that Canada owns both sides of the bridge, that it was built with zero American steel under an Obama-era waiver, and that the US should own at least half of it. He even added a claim that if Canada made a trade deal with China, Beijing would ban ice hockey and eliminate the Stanley Cup.
So, let's look at what the record shows.
Number 1 is ownership. Michigan already owns half the bridge. Under a 2012 crossing agreement signed by Republican Governor Rick Snyder, Canada fully financed the construction cost, giving Michigan half ownership at zero cost to US taxpayers. Number 2 is steel. The agreement mandated that all iron and steel come from either Canada or the United States. The US Customs Plaza and American side approaches were built entirely with American materials and labor. Number 3 is a contradiction. Trump himself endorsed the bridge in a 2017 joint statement with Canada, calling it a vital economic link and urging its expeditious completion. In 2019, he signed legislation providing $15 million in US customs funding for the project. The morning after the post, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney called Washington directly. He read Trump the facts of the 2012 agreement, the same contract that had already dismantled every claim in the Truth Social post, and made the economic stakes plain. Blocking the bridge would hurt Detroit and Toledo auto plants first, not Canada. Addressing reporters, Carney laid it out plainly. Canada, of course, paid for the construction of the bridge. The ownership is shared between the state of Michigan and the government of Canada. This is a great example of cooperation between our countries. Look forward to it opening. Within 72 hours, the public demands went quiet. But here is what the headlines missed. On February 10th, the day after the Truth Social post, the White House confirmed that Trump intends to amend the 2013 presidential permit that authorized the bridge's construction. All international bridge crossings require a presidential permit. Trump has the legal authority to modify it, and he wants to use that authority to carve out a cut of the bridge's toll revenue for the federal government. This was never just a tweet. It was a specific legal move, and it's still in play. A ratified international treaty approved by the US State Department cannot be renegotiated via a social media post. That part Carney was right about. But the presidential permit is different. It sits outside the 2012 agreement, and as long as it remains under review, the bridge stays closed. As of late March 2026, the bridge is still sealed. The White House never retracted its position. What started as a Truth Social tirade has quietly become something more serious, a political negotiation with no confirmed end date. To understand why, we need to look at what happens the day this bridge actually opens. As of late May 2026, the Gordie Howe International Bridge is physically complete. The ports of entry, toll systems, customs infrastructure, the I-75 interchange in Michigan, and the Highway 401 connection in Ontario are paved, tested, and ready. The 6,000 programmable LED lights have been running test sequences since September 2025. For months, the Bridge Authority maintained that the only delay was technical, testing and commissioning. That framing is no longer holding. On May 14th, Canadian Federal Minister Evan Solomon confirmed publicly what officials had been avoiding saying. The opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge is now tied directly to the broader trade negotiations between the US and Canada. Tariffs, Section 232s, the USMCA renegotiation, all of it. There's a lot of factors, Solomon said. The bridge is one factor. Trade, there's a lot of industries that are being impacted. The same day, a White House official responded to questions about the opening with a single sentence. The administration continues to engage with all of our trading partners to resolve long-standing unfair trade practices. Not a word about the bridge itself. On April 28th, US Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra briefed Michigan's Governor Whitmer and House Speaker on where things stood. His conclusion: talks are promising, but no deal has been reached. And then this. At the end of the day, the president will have to sign off on it. 4 words that explain everything. The bridge opens when Trump says it opens. On May 20th, Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkens confirmed the US has put a specific proposition to the Canadian government as a condition for opening. Dilkens, whose city sits on the Canadian side of the bridge, made Canada's position clear. If it's a bad deal, don't take it. We're willing to let that bridge stay closed for a little while longer instead of taking a bad deal put forward by the United States. Spring ends June 20th. That has been the stated deadline since the Bridge Authority first promised a spring 2026 opening. As of production, there is no confirmed date and no confirmed deal. The bridge is not waiting on a wrench or a wire, it's waiting on a signature. And when it finally does open, the impact on regional shipping will be immediate. Right now, trucks using the old Ambassador Bridge get dumped onto a local Canadian street with 17 stoplights. The Gordie Howe connects the highway directly to the highway, 0 stoplights. The tolls will be significantly cheaper for commercial traffic. A standard 5-axle semi-truck will pay $43.75 at the regular rate, or $34.50 through the breakaway discount program. The same truck currently pays up to $100 on the Ambassador Bridge at standard rates, around $75 with commercial discounts. At standard rates, that's a saving of more than $56 per crossing. On the discount program, it's $40.50. The new crossing can handle up to 10,000 trucks per day with direct highway-to-highway connections between I-75 and Highway 401, and a free pedestrian and bicycle path linking trail systems in both countries. This matters immensely for the auto industry. Car parts cross the Detroit River multiple times before a single vehicle is fully built. Every minute a truck spends sitting in traffic adds a direct cost to companies like Ford, GM, and Stellantis. The Bridge Authority estimates the new route will save truck drivers 850,000 hours of delays every single year. One analysis estimated the continued delay is costing North American supply chains up to $7 million per week. The answer isn't in the Bridge Authority's testing schedule. It isn't in the trade negotiations. It's in a meeting that took place on the afternoon of February 9th in a Washington office, hours before that Truth Social post went live. Matthew Maroon, CEO of the Detroit International Bridge Company, sat down with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick that afternoon. Right after that meeting, Lutnick called Trump. Hours later, the post went live. That sequence, Maroon, then Lutnick, then Trump, was reported by the New York Times and confirmed by the Detroit News, CBC, and CBS Detroit. Why does it matter who was in that room? Because Matthew Maroon's family owns the Ambassador Bridge. Since 1979, this single privately owned bridge has controlled more than 25% of all trade between the US and Canada. It is not a public utility. It is a highly profitable private business sitting on the most important commercial border crossing in North America. After years of failed lawsuits and a $33 million ballot campaign to stop it, the Maroon family was out of legal options. So they turned to politics. The Maroon family hired Ballard Partners as their Washington lobbying firm, the same firm where both Trump's Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and Attorney General Pam Bondi previously worked. Bondi herself is listed in federal disclosures as having personally lobbied for the Ambassador Bridge Company in 2021. According to federal campaign finance records, Matthew Maroon gave $1 million to the Trump-aligned super PAC MAGA Inc. on January 16, less than a month before Trump's post. He also gave $600,000 to Trump Victory during the 2020 election cycle and $250,000 to the RNC in a single day. House Democrats have since opened an investigation, demanding meeting records from both Lutnick and Maroon. While the meeting and the donations are confirmed facts, investigators are still looking into whether Maroon directly caused the post. Still, former Republican Governor Rick Snyder put it plainly. If the new bridge is blocked, there actually is one big winner, the Maroon family and the Ambassador Bridge Company. When the Ambassador Bridge was built in 1929, no one stopped to ask how a vital border crossing between two countries could be privately owned. The Gordie Howe Bridge was built to finally end that monopoly. Separate from the political drama, the engineering story behind the Gordie Howe International Bridge is a remarkable achievement on its own. Construction officially began on the American side in July 2018, with the Canadian side breaking ground on October 5, 2018. Instead of using a traditional suspension design, engineers chose a cable-stayed design. In this setup, the cables run diagonally from central towers directly to the bridge deck. This allows the bridge to support heavy loads better, makes it fast to build over water, and adapts easily to heavy truck traffic. The bridge sets a major milestone for its scale. The main span across the Detroit River stretches 2,800 feet, just over half a mile. This makes it the longest cable-stayed bridge span in North America. It currently ranks 11th longest cable-stayed bridge in the world. When the towers were completed, it ranked 10th. Then, in September 2025, China opened the Changtai Yangtze River Bridge, connecting Changzhou and Taizhou, claiming the world record and bumping Gordie Howe down one spot. Nothing else in North America is within 900 feet of it. The two towers rise 722 feet, equal to a 70-story building. Each tower weighs roughly 30,000 metric tons. Architect Eric Behrens designed them with an A-frame shape, whose legs lean toward each other, intentionally mimicking the look of a hockey stick mid-slap shot, a direct nod to the bridge's namesake, hockey legend Gordie Howe. Between the two towers run 216 steel cables holding the deck, 151 feet above the water, leaving plenty of room, enough clearance for cargo ships to pass underneath. By the time construction finished, the project had logged more than 19 million work hours, involving nearly 15,000 workers over the full build, with up to 2,500 on site at peak. Nearly half were locals, and the project created over 700 apprenticeship positions in Detroit and Windsor. The project did face a major setback when COVID-19 hit. Securing construction permits simultaneously across two countries created complications no project had faced before. In January 2024, the Bridge Authority confirmed the pandemic-related delays had added approximately $524 million to the price tag, paid entirely by the Canadian federal government. That brought Canada's total investment to approximately $4.7 billion, all of it funded by Canada, per the same 2012 agreement. Michigan's contribution to the construction bill? $0. Here's the thing. The private bridge monopoly is already over. It didn't end because of the Gordie Howe Bridge, it had already collapsed on its own. In early 2025, the Blue Water Bridge in Sarnia, Ontario, surpassed the Ambassador Bridge as North America's busiest commercial border crossing. For the full year of 2025, the Blue Water Bridge recorded 2.1 million truck crossings, while the Ambassador Bridge dropped to 1.9 million. The reason for this shift comes down to basic math. The same Ambassador Bridge toll, up to $100 per truck at standard rates, that we covered earlier, was driving fleets north. At the Blue Water Bridge in Sarnia, that same truck pays $26.25. That's a saving of more than $70 per crossing. For shipping fleets running hundreds of trips a week, that is a matter of business survival. As Stephen Laskowski, president of the Canadian Trucking Alliance, put it, price sensitivity entered the market. When the Gordie Howe Bridge finally opens, it will offer the best of both worlds. It will connect I-75 directly to Highway 401 and eliminate the need for trucks to take a long detour up to Sarnia. The 97-year private monopoly over this vital trade corridor is effectively done, no matter when the official ribbon-cutting happens. A legal contract signed in 2012 survived billion-dollar lawsuits, a $33 million opposition campaign, a global pandemic, and a direct threat on social media. The bridge is built, the tolls are set, the lights are tested. The only thing missing is a signature. But there's a part of this story we haven't told yet. The engineering behind this bridge is one of the most remarkable construction achievements in North American history. Twin towers designed to look like a hockey stick mid-slap shot, rising 722 feet above the Detroit River, with enough cable wire to stretch from Detroit to Alaska. And it was built to solve a problem that's been strangling cross-border trade since 1929.
That story is already queued up next, so stay tuned for more.
The Gordie Howe International Bridge is one of North America's most impressive megaprojects. From its location, straddling the Detroit River, to its record-breaking span, this bridge is truly a sight to behold. But it's not just about the stats. This bridge is changing the way people travel, trade, and connect. Welcome to Mega Builds, where we explore the world's biggest and most innovative projects. And today, the Gordie Howe International Bridge is in the spotlight. Let's get started. Before the Ambassador Bridge connected Windsor, Ontario and Detroit, Michigan, people faced a tricky challenge. See, there's this wide and deep river called the Detroit River in between. Great for ships, but not so much for people. So back then, trains used ferries to cart travelers across the river. Once they made it across, they would hop back on trains to keep going. Then, in 1929, things changed with the completion of the Ambassador Bridge. That was around the time when cars were becoming all the rage for getting around. Detroit and nearby areas had to rethink how people and goods moved about. So the Ambassador Bridge came to make things easier, especially for trade between Canada and the US. Every weekday, over 10,000 vehicles pay to cross the Ambassador Bridge. That's a lot of traffic. And get this, about $400 million worth of goods crosses between Canada and the US each day through the bridge. It's a big deal, especially for industries like cars, where parts need to flow freely between Michigan and Ontario. But here's where things hit a snag. The bridge can't keep up with all the traffic, about 9 million vehicles a year. Then, in 2022, there was a big problem. Blockades happened, stopping trucks from using the Ambassador Bridge. That caused chaos and got people thinking, maybe we need to rely less on just this one bridge. But there's a twist in this tale. The guy who owns the Ambassador Bridge, Manuel Maroon, isn't keen on competition. When plans for the Gordie Howe Bridge came up, Maroon wasn't happy. He even sued the government to stop it. Instead, he suggested adding another span to his bridge. Critics say it's because he didn't want to lose money from tax-free gas sales. The thing is, Maroon's idea isn't ideal. Adding a new bridge next to the old one creates security risks and could cause problems if roads nearby need to close. Plus, businesses depend on smooth border crossings. With over $1 billion of goods crossing each day, having more options is crucial. By 2035, a new bridge could bring in about $240 million a year. But despite all the arguments and distractions, the Gordie Howe Bridge is still a go. Initially proposed in the early 2000s, the project, as mentioned earlier, faced significant opposition from the owner of the Ambassador Bridge. In response, the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority, a Canadian federal crown corporation, was established in 2012 to oversee the construction and management of the bridge. Environmental approvals and permits were obtained in both the United States and Canada during the early 2010s. Despite legal challenges from Maroon, who claimed exclusivity rights for the Ambassador Bridge, the courts rejected these lawsuits, allowing the project to proceed, including property expropriations. Designed by Eric Behrens, the chief bridge architect at AECOM, the cable-stayed bridge will feature two towering A-shaped bridge towers standing at 722 feet tall. Supported by 216 cable stays, it will boast the longest main span of any cable-stayed bridge in North America, stretching 2,800 feet with a total length of 2.5 kilometers. Rising 151 feet above the water at its highest point, the bridge will accommodate 6 lanes of automotive traffic alongside a dedicated bicycle and walking path. On the Canadian side, the bridge will link to an extension of Highway 401, known locally as the Right Honourable Herb Gray Parkway, on its eastern end. This below-grade parkway features 6 through lanes, following Talbot Road and Huron Church Road from a new interchange at the former end of Highway 401 to the EC Row Expressway. It then runs concurrently westward for 2 kilometers before turning northwest along a new alignment to the border. The parkway incorporates 300 acres of green space and over 20 kilometers of recreational trails, with 7 bridges and 2 tunnels separating the trails from roads. Construction of the parkway commenced in 2011 and concluded in November 2015 with a total cost of $1 billion. The construction of the Right Honourable Herb Gray Parkway, which connects to the Canadian Bridge, faced challenges due to concerns about its potential impact on the last known habitat of Butler's garter snakes in Ontario. Biologists worked to relocate the snakes, including eastern fox snakes, and discovered a larger population of garters than initially estimated. Specially designed fencing was implemented along affected portions of the EC Row Expressway to protect their new habitats. In the United States, the bridge will link to Interstate 75 with dedicated ramps. Additionally, 3 kilometers of the highway will be reconstructed and widened. Local roads will be enhanced and new pedestrian bridges will be constructed across the highway. Noise walls will also be erected to minimize disruptions to the southwest Detroit neighborhood. The bridge's multi-use path will serve as the first legal pedestrian crossing over the Detroit River, connecting to local streets and trails on both sides. It will become part of the Trans-Canada Trail, integrating trail networks on both sides of the river, including the Canadian Great Lakes Waterfront Trail and the American Iron Bell Trail. Crossing the bridge on foot or by bike will be free of charge. Anticipating a surge in border traffic from 18,500 vehicles daily in 2016 to 26,500 by 2025, the Gordie Howe International Bridge will ensure a smooth and efficient flow of people and goods between the United States and Canada. Transport Canada has enlisted engineering firms Morrison Hershfield, Davis Langdon and Declan to develop comprehensive cost estimates covering the right-of-way and utility relocation, design and construction, and operation and maintenance on the Canadian side of the crossing. If you're wondering why it was named Gordie Howe, you're probably not alone. Gordie Howe, known as Mr. Hockey, was a Canadian professional ice hockey player who played for the Detroit Red Wings and Hartford Whalers in the NHL. He was renowned for his versatility, toughness, and scoring ability, holding numerous records during his career. The bridge honors his legacy by connecting Detroit, Michigan and Windsor, Ontario, two cities deeply rooted in hockey culture. This bridge serves as a symbol of unity and strength, reflecting Howe's impact on the sport and his ability to bring people together. Now, let's delve into the significant achievements that have been made over the past few years. Towers measuring 220 meters were erected, guided by the demanding criterion of a 125-year service life, a benchmark rarely seen in bridge projects. Despite concerns about climate change and sustainability, the experts found that extending the service life had minimal cost implications. Canada Day, July 1, 2020, marks the beginning of concrete placement for the tower footings, culminating in 7,600 cubic meters poured over 6 months. 2021 saw the focus shift to tower leg construction, with innovative techniques employed to combat gravity's effects, such as cambered legs and temporary crossbeams. By July 2021, the crucial tie beam, important for balancing horizontal forces, was successfully installed at grade level and post-tensioned. Lifting the first deck element on the Canadian side on March 29, 2022 was a huge accomplishment, given the corrosive climate near Zug Island's industrial district. To fight corrosion, a long-lasting 3-coat paint technique was used, designed to endure 40 years in such tough environments. On July 27, 2022, the first steel anchor boxes, which are critical for fastening cables, were installed on the US tower. The bridge was initially projected to cost $4.4 billion. Later, it was revised to $5.7 billion. But today, the cost has risen to $6.4 billion, as announced by the groups overseeing its construction. It's anticipated that the bridge will open for vehicles in the fall of 2025, a delay from the original target of November 2024. The federal government, acknowledging the challenges faced, is covering the additional $700 million, waiving penalties for the extended timeline. The Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority, WDBA, managing the project on behalf of the federal government, and the consortium of contractors, Bridging North America, BNA, have mutually agreed to adjust the project's cost and schedule. This decision comes in light of unforeseen disruptions due to the COVID-19 pandemic, impacting construction progress like many other endeavors. Despite the setbacks, the extended timeline allows for an enhanced community benefits plan and supports the local economy. With 11 million worker hours already invested and more to come, the delay is viewed positively in terms of economic contribution. Looking ahead, the next step for this project is to complete the connection between the two sides of the river. This includes the installation of the road deck that will link the two countries, as well as the 216 cable stays that will support the bridge. Project leaders are confident that they are on track for completion in 2025. Without a single doubt, the Gordie Howe Bridge stands as a beacon of progress, ushering in a brighter tomorrow with a host of promising benefits woven into its very fabric. Foremost amongst these is the promise of smoother traffic flow, banishing congestion and delays to usher in a new era of seamless travel. This enhanced connectivity isn't just about saving time, it's about reducing fuel consumption and emissions, paving the way for a greener, more sustainable transportation network. But the bridge's impact goes beyond mere logistics. It's a catalyst for economic revitalization on both sides of the border. By creating jobs and fostering cross-border trade, it breathes new life into local economies, fostering growth and prosperity for communities along its path. With goods and services flowing freely, businesses thrive, sharpening their competitive edge and exploring fresh opportunities in untapped markets. Yet, perhaps the bridge's most profound significance lies in its symbolic power as a testament to international cooperation and unity. It's a tangible embodiment of the enduring bond between Canada and the United States, showcasing the fruits of collaboration and shared values. Beyond its practical function, the Gordie Howe Bridge serves as a bridge of cultures, knitting nations together and charting a course towards a more interconnected global community. As we gaze towards the horizon, it's clear that the bridge's impact will transcend its physical form. It's a living testament to what can be achieved through collaboration and bold vision, inspiring future generations to dream big and embrace the transformative power of infrastructure. Its completion marks not just the end of construction, but the beginning of a new chapter in our shared journey towards progress and prosperity. So, as we eagerly await the ribbon-cutting ceremony, let's take a moment to ponder the endless possibilities that lie ahead. What are your thoughts on this bridge? Share your insights and stay tuned for more updates on the monumental projects shaping our world.
That is what they built. The longest cable-stayed span in North America. Towers rising 722 feet, designed to look like a hockey stick mid-slapshot. 19 million hours of labor. A bridge that is complete, tested, and still waiting on a political signature. But step back from the engineering for a moment, because there is a question that got lost in all the politics and all the construction milestones. Canada spent $4.7 billion building a bridge that it then handed 50% of to the state of Michigan for free. It paid for the American on-ramps. It paid for the United States port of entry facilities. It absorbed $524 million in cost overruns without asking Michigan for a cent. Why would Canada do that? What does Canada actually get out of building America's bridge? The answer is more strategic than anyone in Washington seems to have noticed.
So in 2012, Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Michigan Governor Rick Snyder announced the deal. Land acquisition, highway connections, customs facilities, even the American on-ramps to Interstate 75. Snyder bypassed his own state legislature to make it happen, calling the project essential to Michigan's economy. Harper called it visionary and a celebration of friendship between the two nations. Ottawa then created the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority with a single mandate: deliver the Gordie Howe International Bridge. The following year, Canadian negotiators secured a rare Buy American Act waiver, ensuring that both US and Canadian steel could be used, critical since Canada was footing the bill. Even then, opposition didn't end. Manuel Maroon, the billionaire owner of the Ambassador Bridge, poured more than $30 million into ballot measures and lawsuits to stop it. His efforts stretched all the way to the US Supreme Court. But one by one, those challenges failed, and by 2016, the project was legally unstoppable. At first, the bridge was priced at $3.8 billion. Pandemic delays, labor shortages, and inflation have since pushed the cost to nearly $5.7 billion. But Canada pressed ahead, determined not only to build the bridge, but to control it. All tolls will be collected on the Canadian side, with revenues expected to hit $100 million a year by 2030. Ottawa plans to recover its investment over 3 decades. In short, Canada didn't just step in where the US failed. It took ownership of America's busiest trade corridor, and in doing so, bought itself enormous leverage over North American commerce. And what Canada set out to build wasn't just another crossing, it's a record-breaking megaproject. So what exactly did Canada buy with this $6.4 billion? The Gordie Howe International Bridge stretches 2.5 kilometers, 1.6 miles, across the Detroit River, carrying 6 lanes of traffic plus pedestrian and cycling paths. At its heart is an 853-meter main span, the longest cable-stayed bridge in North America, and among the top 10 longest anywhere in the world. Holding it up are 2 colossal towers rising 220 meters, 722 feet into the air. Their curved design nods to the shape of a hockey stick, a tribute to the Canadian legend whose name the bridge carries. Beneath these 2 towers, foundations plunge nearly 30 meters into bedrock, each drilled shaft able to withstand more than 15,000 tons of force. From those towers, 216 stay cables fan out in perfect symmetry, tying the bridge deck to its supports. The longest stretches nearly 450 meters, thicker than a person's arm and packed with bundles of high-tension steel strands. Together, they form a lattice strong enough to hold thousands of vehicles at once. The deck itself is made up of 112 prefabricated segments, each about the size of a small house. Construction crews used an unbalanced cantilever method, building outward from each tower, one segment at a time, until the 2 sides finally met above the river in 2024. By working entirely from the deck, cranes avoided disrupting one of the busiest shipping lanes in the Great Lakes. But this project is more than just a bridge. On either side of the river rise 2 of the largest border facilities in North America. The US port of entry covers 170 acres, with 36 inspection lanes and a direct highway connection to I-75. Canada's port spans another 130 acres, with 24 lanes feeding directly into Highway 401. Together, they create a seamless flow for the nearly $760 billion in trade exchanged annually between the 2 nations. At its peak, more than 2,300 workers were on site, representing thousands more across the supply chain. The project has already won awards for safety and sustainability, recognition of a build designed not just for today, but for the next 100 years. The result is the most ambitious border crossing ever built between the US and Canada, a $6.4 billion feat of engineering that redefines how 2 countries connect. It's an engineering triumph, but what really matters is how this bridge will reshape trade. If the Gordie Howe fixes the choke point, what happens to the old Ambassador Bridge and the people stuck with it? Because while Canada is building one of the most ambitious crossings in North America, truckers and automakers were still stuck with the daily reality of the Ambassador Bridge. In 2024, 2.3 million trucks crossed the Ambassador Bridge. But truckers are increasingly frustrated with its high tolls and outdated design. Many are already shifting north to the Blue Water Bridge at Port Huron, which has seen record traffic because it's cheaper and more efficient. That inefficiency hits hardest in Detroit. With no direct highway connection to I-75, more than 1,000 trucks a day rumble through residential neighborhoods in southwest Detroit, despite ordinances banning them overnight. For automakers who depend on just-in-time delivery, every detour through city streets is money burned. The Gordie Howe is designed to fix this. Its direct highway-to-highway link, fully automated toll collection, and dedicated processing zones for hazardous and oversized loads will pull heavy trucks off city streets and move them across the border faster than ever. Officials say the time savings for just-in-time deliveries are invaluable. But efficiency is only part of the story. With all tolls collected on the Canadian side, Ottawa now controls the cash flow and the operations. Does that give Canada real leverage over America's busiest trade corridor? In effect, Canada didn't just build the bridge, it put itself in charge of the tolls and operations at a crossing that channels hundreds of millions in daily trade. And the timing couldn't be more complex. In April 2025, the US imposed 25% tariffs on automobiles and auto parts, hitting Windsor hard. Bloomberg reports that truck crossings have already plunged since those tariffs began, raising questions about whether the Gordie Howe will open into a trade war that suppresses the very traffic it was built to handle. Meanwhile, competition is heating up. The Ambassador Bridge still stands, but the Gordie Howe can handle 1.5 times its capacity. With modern facilities, the old bridge simply can't match. What's really at stake here isn't just traffic flow, it's economic leverage. Canada has invested $6.4 billion to ensure that the future of US-Canada trade flows through infrastructure it owns. The question is whether that control becomes a tool for deeper cooperation or a fault line in a fragile trade relationship. When it finally opens, the Gordie Howe International Bridge won't just be another link across the Detroit River. It will create a seamless 1,500-mile trade corridor stretching from Montreal all the way to Florida, directly connecting Highway 401 in Canada to Interstate 75 in the US. It's the missing piece in one of North America's busiest trade routes, built to carry the region's traffic not just today, but for decades to come. Traffic through the corridor is projected to rise from 18,500 vehicles a day in 2016 to over 26,000 by 2025. And the new bridge is designed to absorb that growth without the bottlenecks of the Ambassador. Canada's 30-year public-private partnership with Bridging North America ensures long-term Canadian control, with toll revenues expected to pay back the multi-billion-dollar investment over time. So when will this bridge actually open? Construction delays have already pushed the opening from late 2024 into September 2025 and now possibly into 2026. The bridge structure itself is nearly complete, about 98% finished, but the sprawling border facilities on both sides still need months of work. The Canada Border Services Agency requires 9 months to prepare its systems and staff, and US Customs has yet to confirm when they'll be ready. So while the cables and concrete stand ready, the reality is that it may be another year before the first cars and trucks cross this bridge. And that raises the bigger question. Canada has invested $6.4 billion to build and control America's busiest trade crossing, a bold gamble designed to secure the future of continental commerce. The question now is simple. Will this bridge deliver on its promise of efficiency and cooperation, or will politics, tariffs, and delays turn it into a $6.4 billion headache? What do you think? Was Canada right to pay for America's bridge, or will this mega project backfire? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more mega build stories. Imagine if Canada built and owned the